Welcome back to the vomit, and I can't be arsed talking for 30 minutes this time, so it's better up to double speed. I'm currently remarking of how the fact I still have, or how the Nats have managed to win the sieges and my units are still nowhere near there. As well as also trying to figure out how on earth did their Nat stacks manage to get that big, because Peru never actually had that many troops. But when I went to look through the armies, I realised that, oh, actually, they do have a decent force limit, which does explain the size of the Nat stacks. Also noticing France at war with Pomerania somehow, and they're having to already go into mercs because they're, I don't know, they've lost men somehow, somewhere. Yes, we are finished with all of our exploration. There's nowhere else really to go, so I'm kind of like, what do I need to do with these fleets? I may as well just leave them there and then, oh well. Also, apparently, we failed to vassalize the Pope because Tuscany annexed them, the bastards. And then we also noticed that our mission, one of our potential missions, is to get into China. After we finish taking Tlapanak out of the way by fully annexing them and giving them straight to the tacos, while we continue to go after Tlaxcala and Totonac. I forget the names of them. And yes, Peru is actually sorted out, or not Peru, Uruguay came up to help Peru out with the nationalists, which was pretty nice of them, but I don't know how much of that was down to the fact that they were actually doing it to help the other CN out, or they were doing it simply because they were, they were worried that the Nats might walk into them. I forget what I'm doing with trade here. I'm just, still privateering a crap ton in the various places. Apparently taking a load of it from the English Channel because there's so many more ships there than there are elsewhere, but 57. Checking the Navy just for GBs, or checking the navies, and noticing, Kebab still has quite a few callies. And also keeping an eye that GB with 19 heavies could actually do a lot of damage to these light ships, so I go to buff up the fleet that is currently patrolling the English Channel, as well as, not that I'm really doing it for more money, but just to buff up the fleet so that if there is a war somehow, that the lights could actually do some damage to a small group of heavies before, succumbing or having to run away from, just from losing the fights, really. Still just checking how Europe is going. The Protestant League, or the War for the Leagues, are still going, and, Saxony has quite a bit of war score with Austria, but not enough to actually take the peace from it, because it is 50% you need 50% to sue for peace to be able to get the, what is it? You need 50% to enforce the religion on you. You also need 50%, you need an extra 50 on top of it to counter the enthusiasm for the religious league war. Also another thing, when you have a conquistador on a army, you can't use that army to automatically hunt for rebels, because the 7 cities for gold, counteracts it. So we have to take our conquistador off of that army so that the army can then begin to hunt for rebels in our CN's provinces, because they're still going around debating over admin monarchy, but still kind of want the manpower at this stage. And I end up not actually ever taking an admin monarchy. It's going to be going straight into absolute once that becomes available at 20. No point. Nobody needs to worry about the step, because I'm not going to make that much extra money off of the tax and the production to really make it worthwhile. Finishing more colonies. Almost finished getting all of the Caribbean the Caribbean finished. Trade company unhappy, whatever. I really don't like those ones. And as you can see here, Austria is starting to piece out some of the miners in the League War. Still there, and as you can see, they're still getting screwed over by uprisings and, religious zeal and all that crazy shite. But its war is still going on. Also, apparently Saxony integrated Bavaria at some point, because Bavaria no longer, Bavaria, they had some 75% autonomy. Jasper is wandering the fuck around the room, and he should be sitting down. We're culture converting away the Umbrian, because with the Pope gone, the primary culture for the Pope is not there. And this is something interesting. I apparently am at war with a vassal of mine. Apparently, when I annexed Tlaxcala, they had already taken Totonac as a vassal in their own war. So I ended up taking them as my own vassal, but I was still at war with them because I declared it separate. And as you can see, the Peace of Westphalia occurred, so the war for the Protestant League was inconclusive, so religious peace in the world, which is good. They also ended up taking Tyrol in the straight up peace, which gave them a lot of money. I thought Tyrol had lost base tax, but it must have been in the game afterwards. And here we are, we finally have the mission to restore the Holy See, because Tuscany took Rome, and we decide kind of like, oh, okay, let's just go straight for it, because Austria won't bother protecting them, because they are so broken right now, having been absolutely wrecked by the war, wrecked by the Protestant League, wrecked by rebels. We just decide to go, straight after Tuscany. And you're like, you know what? We're just going to go right now. Don't bother waiting. Don't need to call anyone in. Just go for it, because we can take Tuscany and Milan straight on. And also, Austria lost to rebels. They ended up getting a new government. They ended up getting a new dynasty. No more Habsburgs. They're a standard monarchy. And checking the HRE, unfortunately, a lot of other things have changed now, because, you know, the League Wars are over. You know, everyone is a potential emperor. So we're kind of back to square one when it comes to taking on the HRE, and fleets are kind of giving us the slip, the Tuscan fleets, before we absolutely smash the crap out of them before sending the transports. But while we're sending the transports to pick up some armies to send them over to Italy so that we can keep them there. We borrow the Explorer, if anything, just to help with the little bit of maneuver to catch these fleets, but pretty much it's just because we have nothing else to do with the Explorer. Sending more light ships up to the GB trade node, as I said earlier, just so they can buff up the arm or buff up the fleet in case we do end up at war with GB. And apparently in this fight I realised that Britsy is somehow mountains. I really don't get it why. It really makes no sense, but of course Tuscany with much less of an army gets beaten back incredibly quickly there, thanks to the general. Then we go to siege Rome while we send the fleet up to the English Channel and remark on how we're already well into the Roman numeral names on the ships. Hopefully it won't actually get to the stage as it was in my Netherlands game when they end up with like so many L's and whatnot. But anyway, we finish off, we take out Salapanac, we end up giving it to Tacos. We don't have that vassal to worry about, so we actually, you know, we're not wasting a point. And we colonize Easter Island. Hey, man, wait, I forgot your name. I should go look that up since I got plenty of time, but we're colonizing Easter Island. Is it Berg 27, I believe? I need to look this up, and I'm not going to look it up on my desktop right now because that would possibly screw up this audio recording. We finished the Andamans. Okay, phone, you really need to stop with that bloody GSM fucking interference. My God. Yes, we continued to colonize some more in the Indonesia. Where is his name? Yeah, Berg 787. There you go. We're colonizing Easter Island, and I think it's well before Easter. Although this was recorded on the 8th, so it was... Wait, this was the 8th, yes? Yes, this was recorded on the 8th, so it was colonized a couple of days ago. We had an extra couple of days there. And yes, what was France's core ended up defecting... Or the Netherlands. Actually, no. No, a lot later. Darn it. Potential spoiler. Oops. Anyway, we're worrying about the Dutch, and apparently, up here... Oh, yes. Colonialism against the Netherlands. They went into South America. Once I eventually find it, they tried to colonize here in South America. We get the claim on them because it's our region. Unfortunately, you know, they don't have any malice with us because they're not violating a treaty of Tordesillas. So we decide, you know what, you're here. Do I eventually go to war with them? It's part of colonial Colombia. I didn't go to war. Okay. I thought I was. And apparently we get attacked in Rome, even though, you know, we have the defense, because Tuscany and Milan could actually field a pretty good army by themselves, and their morale is pretty good because Ambrosian Republic, and they are reformed, I believe, so they have the fervent focus on war. We actually end up losing the initial battle, so necessary to send over a second army and then just combine together and absolutely wreck their face. We take more naval force limit from quantity. Not that we need more naval force limit. Dear God, we so do not need more naval force limit. But we get more naval force limit anyway. We finally retreat back so we can actually send or swap the Conquistador over to the new army. We lose our Explorer, which is fine because that puts us back under our leader cap. We're not losing mill power every month from that. Realised I've left a couple of ships behind, so we'll send them to the English Channel, as well as dropping off some troops on a new province to colonize and get the transports back somewhere so that they don't sink from attrition. And yes, I tried to go right back to Abruzzi, but we caught up even with them in force march and got rid of them just barely because, again, somehow this is a mountain province. But was Tuscany getting disciplined from their ambitions, which made it a bit of a pain. But yes, we got rid of them. Apparently Milan couldn't retreat for some reason, so we just waited there a day and were able to completely stack wipe them. And then we go back into Ancona and Roma. They can't muster up enough troops to counter us, at least not for a while. We do get a new general, which is not great. Could be better, but hey, does the job, I suppose. Something rather than nothing. More treasure fleets, dear God. So you know, this new general is something rather than nothing. As well as lamenting Tuscany's fort defense from defensive. They also have defensive mentality. Apparently they also had a policy for even more fort defense. And yes, Tacos, unfortunately, I'd given them just a little bit too much. They'd taken just a little bit too much overextension, and we're starting to have gnat problems everywhere. Not that they can't really handle it by themselves, they could, but, you know, I have to send up the troops anyway to help them out because, yeah, when you getting a lot of rebels popping up from just being that teeny bit over the overextension limit is a pain. I've actually done it, and it pretty much can ruin your country. I would think it was my Bengal into Hindustan game, and I think I took maybe 120% in one game, and my manpower, by the end of dealing with all the rebels, my manpower reserve had gone from 250,000 men in reserve to nothing. Yeah, rebels can really hurt if you go over the overextension limit in these versions, which is a bit of a pain. There we go. We're colonizing Easter Island properly with all of the random statues there, and yes, even more rebels popping up. Apparently, Nahoso rebels also popping up in Tacos, so we have to start sending our army. Our automatic rebel hunting army is also having to take the long way around because they don't have a conquistador, can't go through the south, or can't go through the Andean natives. We finally nearly finished our first Californian colony. We want to work our way up. Ideally, I'd like to work my way up towards the estuary that's up here, but I think I do end up going downwards just to be able to fill us up down bottom so that they don't, so that other CNs don't get the or mostly it's not Mexico doesn't get the funny idea to try and go up into the California node. We have to fight Tuscany again, realize that the fight probably isn't going to work out our way because thanks to bullshit rolls as well as the terrain and river crossings, so quick reinforce, get rid of the Tuscans. Again, the Milanese don't retreat for some reason, or that Milanese troop doesn't retreat for some reason, so an instant stack wipe. And then we just peace out for Rome, which gets immediately sent back to the Pope, which is good. The other good thing is you get a load of points, and you also get a load of relations with the Pope, which means you don't have to worry about it, which means you can, or it helps your PI game because your relations with the Pope directly affect how much PI you can get from it. So we see the destroyed Turkish naval dominance mission, and finally we decide, or I believe we do, yeah, finally we decide that we're going to go for it, but we do need to get a claim or to get a CB against them. So we go for trade dispute because we actually have a fair amount of trade power in Ragasu from the transfers from the downstream transfers, I believe. So we're able to fabricate a trade conflict on the Ottomans to use against them. It also is a good CB because it works solely on blockades. We see France start to stack up on the Burgundian border and have to kind of think to ourselves, what are the odds they're going to go after Burgundy to reconquest it? And sure enough, not before much longer, they actually do go after Burgundy to retake them back. Even though they're in the HRE, but as you can see from the war against Tuscany, Austria is not in any state to attempt to defend the empire, so everyone's gonna push their boundaries to get into the HRE, or everyone who can push to get into the HRE will push to get into it. You see a couple more wars going on down here, and we decide, you know what, we could probably jump in with someone, but Hula is quite big, and it's probably not enough that Peru could take it by themselves, so we go for Quito, which brings in a couple of other miners that we can also fully annex at the same time. And unfortunately, the Turkish naval domination mission has gone away, which I thought just by building a load of fleets that it would stay there, but apparently it's not. We're still going for the free trade conflict anyway. And you can see here, unfortunately, the Nahuatl nationalists took control of the province that's just slightly outside. And then they actually go and they burn the colony. Or I don't know if they burn the colony, but they occupy it, and then it ends up getting a native uprising and is destroyed, which is a pain. And as you can see, France went back after Burgundy. A lot of random votes going there, but Austria still has 4 in their pockets, which is a pain. Even though Croatia managed to declare independence from them, or Croatia and Kiev both managed to break out of Hungary after that last war, which is interesting. So Burgundy's still dying to France again. We're still trying to get our troops back up. We end up basing them more in Panama, so that rather than having to go all the way from north to south, we end up just leaving the middles in the middle so that they can only have to run part of the way to counter some rebels, be they in the north or south. And we're kind of lamenting the fact that the mission's not there, so I decided let's try building some more galleasses to add to the small amount of galleasses we have in the fleet that's privateering in Constantinople, in the hopes that it arrives again soon, just to not have to waste the CB, and also it would be nice to destroy Kebab's fleet, because, yeah. And while we're waiting again, the Dutch still have that ever so annoying little colony there, which we're going to have to take it at some point. We're looking into North Africa. A lot of TI is still there. The mission still not there. We're getting more heavies available, so mostly to have a lot of the heavies there so that we can start whacking those galleys incredibly quickly. And also noticing that the income has dropped quite a bit. No idea why. It's mostly just due to the additional maintenance from everything else. We can also finally convert the Sinhala away from Ceylon. It's going to take a teeny little bit longer before we can convert the final province that we got from I forget the name of it, but the nation that has the one that's on the tip. We're also, with the fact that we have so many dip, I end up deciding to culture convert away the Leonese so that we don't get any Leonese nat problems later on. We make it all one culture, it's no problem. Glory to us. We still don't have the mission, but well, I'm getting all my ships together in the hopes that we get it soon. Anyway, that's this part. Again, a lot of random shite going on in the HRE. But that's this part. We'll continue to vomit around a little bit later. And we end on this event.